Hey, what's going on? Welcome back to D+Pad Life, and today I want to discuss why VR. Why am I so pro VR, especially PlayStation 4 VR, such an archaic system that many people don't use nowadays. Many people aren't really concerned with. People have moved on to either Oculus Rifts or Quest or even the VR2. But for me, I am still stuck on PlayStation VR. And I think that it is a product that does not get acknowledged or discussed hardly at all anymore. And I just kind of wanted to give a dedicated video to it to kind of explain my thoughts around why I devote so much attention to it, so much time, and just kind of garner my experience or share my experience with it. So you guys can maybe feel motivated to check it out too. We'll take it over here to the games themselves. So I've got quite the VR collection. As you can see here, this top row is my backlog of all the games that I'm still trying to get to. And then this row here are the games that I have beaten or completed. Some I just beat, some I actually did like 100%. And then I think actually I've got like 2 games over there in the entertainment center, Iron Man VR and a game called Eagle Flight. Those are the next ones I'm going to focus on. But in any case, yeah, why VR? You know, why would I spend so much time or focus or dedicate such a large portion of my collection to VR? Well, one answer. Oh, it's a one-word answer. Fun. It's very fun. Another word is tinkering. It's almost tinkering fun. PlayStation VR is definitely archaic, right? It's not the most put it on and go sort of VR experience. It can be, depending on the room you play it in. If you got enough space between your couch or wherever you sit and the TV, you can definitely boot up a game and generally be good to go. Sometimes you got to adjust that camera a little bit. Sometimes you might need to create a little bit more space, but for the most part, I think it does all right for itself. The biggest thing is that some games that were released on it weren't programmed with it in mind. Like, for example, Rick and Morty Virtual Reality is one of my most disappointing experiences so far. This game just does not cooperate with the PlayStation VR programming. It doesn't understand depth very well. So if you're trying to reach to something, it struggles to comprehend that. It has a lot of problems. Also, it just wasn't that funny, which is like sacrilege. If you're going to be a Rick and Morty game, you should be hysterical, right? But PlayStation VR is interesting. One of the primary reasons I got into it was because I did have a Quest 2, I believe, at one point. I decided to sell it to invest into a PlayStation 5, which was a good call. I wasn't using the Quest as much as I would have liked to. I was still pretty obsessed with my PlayStation 4 at the time. And so then ultimately it was like, well, let me go ahead and try to get a PS5 because I want the best PS4 money can buy, and PS5 games are looking better and better. So let me go ahead and jump into it. So that's what I did. And then I ended up getting a PlayStation VR. And actually what's funny is the same guy, a good friend of mine, his name's Oscar. Shout out to Oscar. He gifted me the Quest 2, and then he ended up gifting me the PlayStation VR, which is kind of funny. And ever since then, I've just dove in with both feet. I've just been really determined to experience it to its fullest because I find myself, if I'm gaming, I'm generally on the couch in front of my television. Even though I own a Switch, I own a 3DS, I own a Vita. I do handheld gaming here and there, but primarily I love being on my couch in front of the TV. And so Quest just kind of sat around. It couldn't be in the game room. There wasn't enough space. So it kind of just sat around the living room and it just never got utilized. I actually don't spend a whole ton of time in there. And eventually it was just like, you know what, man? Let's give this PlayStation VR a try. And once I dove in and really started investing into it, I had an absolute blast. So as you can see, here's some of the experiences I've gone through so far. The first game I picked up was Bravo Team. I had found this at a pawn shop for $5 and decided I wanted to give that a go. And yeah, I had a really good time with it. It's basically VR Time Crisis, more or less. And it works decently well, actually. And then I tried Batman VR, which is a bit more of like an experience type of game. Less so of like a real video game, just kind of some puzzles you do in VR, nothing too serious. And it was decent. It was pretty cool. I was happy to have played it. But then I tried Resident Evil 7's VR mode, And that lit the fire right there. Bravo team honestly lit the fire. I had a blast with that one. Batman was like, okay, this is what people are talking about, how VR is not super great. But RE7 VR was like, okay, man, there is something here with this whole VR thing. And ever since then, it's been off to the races. Astrobot Rescue Mission is absolutely incredible in VR. I tried playing the Astrobot PS5 game not long after playing this, and honestly, I found the PS5 game to be not that spectacular. It wasn't necessarily doing anything that Rescue Mission hadn't already done, but Rescue Mission had that awesome quality of being in VR where what I see is the camera, and that makes that game incredibly unique, special, and super cool. Blood and Truth was fun, but again, nothing too crazy. The Inpatient was pretty bland. VR Worlds had some fun stuff in it. I really enjoyed it. Psychonauts was charming, but again, kind of like Batman, just a bit of a puzzle-solving experience. And Until Blood, Rush of Dawn, wow. Until Dawn, Rush of Blood, that's hilarious, is just like a rail shooter, which was fun. I enjoyed that. Going forward, though, I have tons of games to look forward to. There's Ace Combat 7, which is, a jet flying game. That seems really spectacular in VR. It's got to be quite the rush. You got games like Concrete Genie, which I actually don't know much about, but I've heard good things. Creed Rise to Glory, so I'll get to do some boxing. You got Doom 3 VR, which is like the #1 game I'm looking forward to playing next. Doom VFR, whole Skyrim in VR, the entire game. Got to check that out. Everybody's Golf, so a golf game. Eve Valkyrie, it's another spaceship game. Farpoint's supposed to be really great. Five Nights at Freddy's, I've actually got very little to no experience with Five Nights, so I figured this would be a fun way to check it out. Hitman 1, 2, and 3 on PS4 have a full VR campaign for each game. So I'm still trying to get 3 before I start these. But yeah, I'm not 100% positive, but I think you have to have 3 in order to unlock the VR mode. Not positive on that. If someone knows in the comments, please let me know. Loading Human Chapter 1, just a game I picked up because it was cheap. I don't know anything about it. Minecraft VR is actually totally sick. Next time I dig into Minecraft, which I like to revisit Minecraft here and there occasionally, I'm going to be digging into this one. Moss is supposed to be really good. It's another platformer style. No Man's Sky I'm not super intrigued by, but I figured I'd at least check it out in VR. Again, I got it for relatively cheap. Talked about Rick and Morty. Star Trek Bridge Crew, mostly for my wife. She's a Star Trek fan. Or at least her dad was. They kind of watched the show together, so I figured this could be a fun one for her. Star Wars Battlefront just has like a VR level where you get to fly the Millennium Falcon, so I decided to grab that. Star Wars Squadrons should be fun. I've heard great things about Trover Saves the Universe. Walking Dead Onslaught and Walking Dead Saints and Sinners. Saints and Sinners I've heard is called like the best VR game that there is for PlayStation VR. And then Onslaught's supposed to be not bad either. It's supposed to be pretty good. And then Zone of the Enders 2 has a full VR campaign, so I figured I'd at least try it if I can stomach it. If it's a little too much for me, then I'll go ahead and just play it normally. But yeah, I mean, oh yeah, and then up here, there's a VR mode for Rise of the Tomb Raider. So it's like, look at the amount of content. Look at how much content is physical. And on average, I spend about $5 a game. There are some that I've coughed up a little bit more for, but in reality, man, it's an extremely affordable console or platform to collect for, to play, and to enjoy. And so I've built up this mass collection just because it's fun to just sort of seek out new VR experiences that I haven't played, as well as in genres that I usually would ignore. Like first-person shooters or space shooters are not my thing at all. However, in VR, everything hits different. Like Bravo Team is just a basic military shooter, more or less, with cover base. Like I said, it feels like Time Crisis. I don't play games like that, but in VR, they're so much fun. So VR has really invited me to check out a plethora of genres I would have ignored otherwise. And in fact, now that I'm saying this out loud, I realize I got a bunch of VR games back there too. These are games that I don't necessarily consider part of the backlog because I mostly own them just to kind of bulk out the collection. And in case I were to ever sell my collection, it would just be, more value to be like, look at how many games you get if you were to buy this off me. It's eventually, if I do sell my VR collection, I don't know if I will. It's just so that it'll sell like more quickly. It's like you get everything all at once. Here you go. VR also does some fun stuff like this. Oh my gosh, I didn't realize how much stuff was in front of it. There is this fun rifle style controller, which I got a 3D printer stock for. There's a whole video about that on my channel that I recommend checking out. from the earlier days of my channel where I got a 3D printed. Sorry, the audio is really crap in this closet. I need to get out of here. I just thought about showing all that last minute. I got a stock and mount 3D printed to help with aiming, and it makes a super huge significant difference. Like, your aim is just so steady when you're using that thing, and you can brace it against your shoulder. It works out extremely well. But yeah, man, I think so. For me, it's a matter of, it's fun to tinker around with. The games aren't bad, man. There's some really fun games on there. They're really cheap and affordable, and they're accessible. You can find them at pawn shops, swap meets, GameStops, even game stores in general, even thrift stores. I found some VR stuff. It's out there, man. But like VR2, not really the case. All these other VR platforms, they're all digital. So PlayStation VR is really the most physical collector-friendly VR headset to collect for. And I dove right in, and I've been having a blast. There's still some key titles that I'm looking for, most particularly Moss 2 is one that I really want to get my hands on. But all in all, I'm extremely satisfied with it. I have fun every time I put it on. And another thing that is why VR, for me, it's as much as I enjoy playing a game on the couch and, with a controller in my hand and the typical gaming experience, one thing that I've realized is over time, you can kind of play so many games back to back that I almost get decision paralysis. I'm like, well, what do I want to play next? Because ultimately, as much as each game is unique and each experience is as well, the experience of sitting on the couch and holding a controller doesn't really change. And what I find is VR is a great way to mix things up. Once I put that headset on and I'm warped into these other worlds, suddenly I'm totally reinvigorated in gaming as a whole again. I'll play a game or two in VR, and then next time I go back to the conventional in front of the TV experience, I'm having an absolute blast with it again, and I'm suddenly very excited for whatever game I'm going to choose to play next. It just really helps keep the hobby fresh and revitalized. I use it to kind of bounce back and forth. I play a VR game or two, maybe 3, because some of them are really short, and then I'll go back to playing some of this TV stuff. And so I think PlayStation VR is definitely worth considering. You can find these headsets for very cheap, usually between $50 to $100. And the games, like I said, on average, you'll find the games for like $5 a piece. Sometimes they're 10, 15. Like the most expensive VR game I've seen was like $30. There's definitely some out there that are worth more, but the community around them that is actually playing and purchasing them is so niche and so small that you can really incentivize people to cut you a deal, because who else has walked up, like if you're at a swap meet, who else has walked up at your table asking for VR games? Nobody. So let's work out a deal here. You know what I mean? Because if you sell it on eBay or something like that, you're going to take a cut anyway, and you're going to lose money anyway. So just instead of giving eBay that money, give me that money, like cut me that deal. Don't give eBay the $5, just cut $5 off and sell it to me. Right. So yeah, it's definitely something worth considering. I've had a blast with the hobby. I genuinely enjoy it quite a bit, and I hope you do too. I hope you decide to check it out at some point, because I think it's slept on. I think it's underappreciated and undervalued, and I think that's often by people who have never even tried VR at all, let alone this version of it. So definitely recommend checking it out. If you guys would like to hear more about VR from me, as far as like maybe a buyer's guide on what games you should focus on or what peripherals you should focus on, let me know down below, comment down below. And also let me know if you've played some VR games, what your thoughts were, what other experiences you have in VR. I just really enjoy it as a little segment of gaming. It's a lot of fun. If you could, leave a like on the video. It goes a long way in helping the channel grow and helping exposure for the channel. And please consider subscribing. I upload about 2 to 3 videos a week. It's a pretty active channel, and we're always discussing fun topics such as this. So hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching D+Pad Life. Check you guys out later.